Tonight, a heated debate over what happens in the classroom spills into the streets. Protests, counter-protests, thousands rally across the country, largely over gender policies in schools. A made in Montreal helmet makes the NFL.
We're very proud of the accomplishment we've done so far.
What it could mean for concussions in the league. And a life on the run. We're on our way to see someone who is living in hiding. Why she thinks she's on a Russian kill list.
I was poisoned by chlororganic compound.
And what is that?
Toxic shit.
A Canadian exclusive on The Breakdown.
This is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. Across the country, thousands took to the streets demanding an end to education about sexual orientation and gender identity in Canada's schools. They were met by thousands more determined to defend LGBTQ rights. The encounters, for the most part, peaceful, in a few cases, violent. Jamie Strachan shows us what that looked like and what drove so many to march.
Thousands came out in dozens of cities across the country for protests dubbed by organizers as the 1 Million March for Children, demonstrating against the ways gender identity and sexual orientation are taught in Canadian schools.
It's about saying what is age appropriate and who ultimately can be the arbiters of that discussion. We believe that as parents should be the ones who have the final say over what their kids are taught.
One contentious issue, the right of students to identify by the pronoun of their choice without parental consent.
We must be able to control how we raise them, what kind of values they retain, and for parents to not have a say in the conversation is not going to work out.
They don't have the maturity to decide to drink or to have guns or to vote. How the hell they have the right to change their sex without even the knowledge of their parents?
In some cities, protests were matched by vocal counter-protests.
I see a mix of absolute hatred and bigotry. I also see a collection of people who are just scared and want the best for their kids and are afraid.
We felt it was important that people congregated here to make people know, and especially queer and trans kids and racialized kids know, that there are people here who have their back.
Things boiled over at some events. In Toronto, dozens of police officers kept the sides apart. In Ottawa, there were a number of arrests. And in Victoria, police ordered the crowds around the legislature to disperse. The issue of pronoun or gender identification differs by province and school board. For example, at the Toronto District School Board, Canada's largest, schools can inform parents of a student making a pronoun change only with that student's consent.
Kids need to grow up in a safe place, have parents that support them. But that doesn't mean forcing them to be outed or forcing them to feel uncomfortable in a situation they're not comfortable with.
In New Brunswick and Saskatchewan, parental consent for using a student's preferred pronoun is required for those under 16. New Brunswick Premier Blaine Higgs doubled down on that policy today.
The situation's pretty straightforward. It's quite amazing that there's even a discussion of what the role of parents should be with their kids' lives.
The Prime Minister was among the politicians and school boards that affirmed their support for the LGBTQ community as the clash over rights played out across the country. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
This is a good time to bring in our education reporter, Deanna Sumanac-Johnson. So, Deanna, what is being taught in classrooms?
Adrienne, it's really complicated, and it really depends on where you live. Basically, different provinces mention sexual orientation and gender identity in different grades and under different subjects. So, for example, Ontario, the first mention of sexual orientation is in grade 5 in the curriculum. Sexual orientation and gender identity, of course, two separate subjects, are again brought up in grade 8. Ontario parents also have the right to opt their students out of sex ed classes, which these things fall under. Now let's go to Saskatchewan. In Saskatchewan, awareness of same-sex families is one of the expected educational outcomes under grade 3 health education. Now, having said all that, curriculum in Canada is not prescriptive. Teachers have a lot of autonomy and independence. So what your child is hearing in class, the language, the context, will largely depend on the individual educator and the kind of resources that that teacher uses. Many of those resources are suggested and approved by the boards and ministries of education. but some of them are third party as well. So again, a very complicated answer.
Okay. So if you're a parent and if you're curious or you're concerned, what do you do?
The best thing is always to talk to the teacher. That's always the first best point of reference. Some teachers these days, especially for sort of older elementary grades, will put up their units of study online so you can kind of follow along to what your student is learning, perhaps help them with their homework. But if your teacher does not use online modules, you can always talk to them in person. And I think principals are, if you're not happy or satisfied with the answer, you can go to the principal as well or to the school board.
Deanna, thank you.
You're welcome.
Turning now to the growing tensions with India and new retaliation tonight after that stunning accusation from Justin Trudeau that the Indian government is linked to the killing of a Sikh leader here in this country. Olivia Stefanovich now with the escalation and the response.
On the floor of the United Nations, the focus was Ukraine.
Russia has launched and continues to wage an illegal war.
But behind closed doors, in separate meetings with world leaders, a senior government source says Justin Trudeau's accusation against the Indian government came up every time.
Credible allegations of a potential link.
The explosive allegation: New Delhi helped orchestrate the assassination of a Canadian Sikh leader on Canadian soil earlier this year. Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a prominent member of a movement calling for a sovereign Sikh state, but considered a terrorist by India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government retaliated again Wednesday with a new travel advisory, warning its citizens about what it calls anti-India activities, politically condoned hate crimes, and criminal violence in Canada.
I think is a very irrational response on the part of the government of India.
Sounds like a joke.
Claims members of parliament dismiss.
I find it very surprising. Canadians are very safe.
Emotions are running high, and we've asked everyone to stay calm.
But there are broader economic concerns about the dispute, including trade. Saskatchewan makes up roughly a third of Canada's exports to India.
So yes, it's a red flag for the provincial government, and it's also a red flag for the 14 MPs representing our province.
Canada has long been trying to establish free trade with India.
So I think that that deal is now dead.
With negotiations along with a trade mission paused, this expert worries there could be more consequences.
I think it will put a chill on investment. It may put a chill on tourism, both ways, and of course, foreign students.
But the federal government says there are other factors at play.
The first thing is about ensuring the health and safety of Canadians, and national security comes first.
So, Olivia, obvious diplomatic tensions, but where are we at with the investigation?
Well, the RCMP is saying very little about that, Adrian, citing the fact that this is an ongoing investigation. In the meantime, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is asking the commissioner of the public inquiry into foreign interference to include India in her investigation. The public safety minister says this is possible, but the inquiry must stick to its mandate surrounding concerns tied to the last two federal elections.
All right, thank you. Olivia Stefanovich in Ottawa. Ontario's Greenbelt controversy has cost Premier Doug Ford another cabinet member. Khalid Rashid's resignation follows media reports that have many questioning a story he told to the province's integrity commissioner about a trip to Vegas. Let's have Mike Crawley put those pieces together for us.
In Doug Ford's Ontario cabinet, Khalid Rashid was seen as a rising star until now. His resignation is linked to a political controversy that has pushed Ford to his lowest in the polls since becoming premier in 2018. How Ford's government gave select developers the right to build housing in Ontario's protected Greenbelt, potentially boosting the value of their land by billions of dollars.
The story the Premier is trying to tell us about this $8.3 billion backroom deal is simply not true. We all know it. Ontarians know it.
The new twist in the Greenbelt story involves this Las Vegas hotel, massages, and mani-pedis. Rashid told Ontario's Integrity Commissioner under oath that he'd gone to Vegas with one of Ford's top political staffers, Amin Massoudi, and that they happened to bump into Shakir Rehmatullah, a developer who was friends with Ford and whose land in the Greenbelt got the green light for housing.
The main thing in real estate, in community building, that we look for is the location.
But reports by CTV News and the Trillium website revealed that Rashid, Ford staffer, and the developer did more than just bump into each other. They booked massages at the same time in the hotel spa, along with mani-pedis. In a statement, Ford announced that Rashid had not only stepped down as minister, but also resigned from the Ontario PC caucus, and that he will only be given a chance to return to the party fold if the Integrity Commissioner clears him.
The Premier continues to just dig in on these dirty deals that really seem to only benefit a very few wealthy insiders.
Barely 2 weeks ago, Ford's housing minister also resigned over the Greenbelt saga, a controversy that doesn't appear to be going away anytime soon. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
4 members of a BC wildfire fighting crew have been killed in a highway crash.
It's emotionally wrenching and heartbreaking to hear of people who are completed their work on their way home and meet with their deaths on the road.
This happened early Tuesday morning in a remote area west of Kamloops and near a provincial park. Police say the firefighters' pickup collided with a semi-trailer. The driver of the truck was not injured. 6 wildfire fighters in BC have now been killed so far this fire season. And Canada's unprecedented wildfire season is one of the realities behind an urgent message out of the United Nations tonight and a call for action to combat climate emergencies. Susan Ormerson looks at what's being said and what's being done.
Humanity has opened the gates of hell. Horrendous heat is having horrendous effects.
Fires, floods, extreme heat. Climate crises impossible to ignore, yet governments are still failing to meet climate goals, says the UN Secretary General.
We are heading towards a dangerous and unstable world.
With the stark backdrop of New York protests linking oil and gas companies directly to climate emergencies.
And fossil fuels across the globe.
The UN's climate summit called on world leaders to resist rolling back their commitments and to act faster to curb greenhouse gas emissions caused by an addiction to fossil fuels.
It's the burning of oil, it's the burning of gas, it's the burning of coal, and we need to call that out.
But nations, including Canada, continue to bring on new oil and gas projects.
Prime Minister, Canada was one of the largest expanders of fossil fuel last year.
The summit's chairwoman called on Prime Minister Trudeau to explain.
By the end of this year, we will be announcing our framework to cap emissions from the oil and gas sector.
A cap promised 2 years ago and which could take another year or two to implement.
The real test of whether this cap on oil and gas emissions is robust and ambitious is ensuring that the oil and gas sector is forced to do its fair share.
I'll be the first one to say we have to do more.
Stephen Guilbeault says Canada is reducing emissions, but not by enough.
And we're also the only large oil and gas producer who has committed to put in place a cap on the emissions of the oil and gas sector.
Climate politics on center stage this week in New York, while at the same time Calgary hosts the world's largest petroleum conference. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Toronto.
Still at the United Nations, the Ukrainian president is taking aim and calling on the Security Council to strip Russia of its veto power. But as Tom Perry shows us, Russia is firing back with accusations of its own.
The war in Ukraine fueling a war of words. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky taking part in an open debate at the UN Security Council.
Anyone who wants to start a war should see before their fatal mistake what exactly they will lose when the war would start.
Zelensky calling on the UN to strip Russia, a permanent member of the Security Council, of its power to veto council resolutions. But even before Zelensky spoke, the Russian delegation objected, arguing his presence violated council rules, earning a stern rebuke from the debate chair.
There is a solution for this if you agree. You stop the war and President Zelensky will not take the floor.
Debate continued throughout the day, with Russia's foreign minister dragging out many of the arguments Moscow has used before to justify its invasion.
The U.S. and its satellites.
Sergei Lavrov accusing the U.S. and its allies of openly interfering in the internal affairs of Ukraine, accusing Ukraine of targeting Russian speakers in the country.
It's hard to imagine a country demonstrating more contempt for the United Nations and all that it stands for.
Ukraine's allies stood by Zelensky, lining up to condemn the Russian government and its invasion.
We must make sure that borders mean something, even when a neighbor has a bigger army.
While this debate was symbolic, Ukraine's president is looking for more concrete help. After the UN, Volodymyr Zelensky will travel to Washington and then Canada, seeking to shore up support from his allies as the war in his country drags on. Tom Perry, CBC News, New York.
People in Taiwan are living under the constant threat of an invasion by China. But as David Common reports from Taiwan, even with signs of an increasingly assertive Beijing, many don't seem worried.
This is not the face of a people fearing invasion. For all the talk of a more assertive China, after 70 years of ruling themselves, many Taiwanese just aren't worried. I don't think they're coming, says this teenager. We're pretty used to China's threats. Yeah, they've been saying this for a long time, this young woman adds. It may seem at odds with what the world sees, Chinese warships constantly off Taiwan's coast, Chinese invasion practice runs, and routine rhetoric. Taiwan is part of China's territory, the spokesperson from Beijing's foreign ministry insists. It speaks to the long-standing state of affairs. Taiwan has never declared independence from China, and they share deep business ties.
Do you think China will come to try to take Taiwan?
Yes, this woman says, they regularly do military drills, so the answer must be yes. There is now a movement to disrupt the status quo, for Taiwan to declare itself a nation. It's become a dominant issue in the election campaign underway now. If we establish as a new country, says activist Binshan Wang, we will be allied with other democratic countries and fight the communists. Retired Taiwanese General Yu Pei-chen believes Taiwan needs to be ready now. The threat is greater now, he says. China has many enemies, but Taiwan has only one: Chinese communists.
It's stark talk in a part of the world where nuance is very important. The question before many Taiwanese in the midst of an election campaign is, how far is too far for China when it comes to Taiwan? And is there any point in trying to maintain good relations given Beijing's ambitions on their home? David Common, CBC News, Taipei.
King Charles is in France tonight, part of a 3-day state visit. The king met French President Emmanuel Macron for a wreath laying at the tomb of the unknown soldier at the Arc de Triomphe this afternoon. And this evening, Macron threw a star-studded banquet at the Palace of Versailles in the king's honor. The goal of the visit, to strengthen the French-British alliance. Hollywood studios return to the negotiating table after talk show hosts backtrack on their return.
I deeply apologize to writers.
But what happens if the strikes go on?
It's a scary time.
A Montreal startup is scoring big with a new football helmet.
We have some sensors that measure the acceleration of the head.
And police struggle to nab a furry escapee.
They don't exactly prepare you to chase lemurs in the police academy.
We're back in 2.
Dang it!
The NFL season has barely begun, yet already several prominent players are in the league's concussion protocol. While there may be no way to prevent head injuries entirely, Allison Northcott shows us a hopeful new development made in Montreal.
For a helmet to make it to the NFL, it has to be tough.
Inside the head, we have some sensors that measure the acceleration of the head.
And it has to be tested. Hits in 6 different locations at 3 speeds to see how it performs.
Because we know that lab testing typically refers to what the player would sustain on the field.
Now, a helmet designed in Montreal has made the cut, approved by the league and ready for the field.
We're very proud of the accomplishment we've done so far. We have 15 teams and more that have received our helmets and are currently trying it for the NFL.
It all began with an NFL competition to design a helmet that improves performance and safety amid growing concerns about the impact of concussions.
Our 3D printing machine that allows us to print all the components going inside the shell of the helmet.
The team came up with a lightweight design with customizable 3D printed padding.
Each of the pads are, let's say, optimized for their use and for the position of the impact.
NFL players can take repeated hits, sometimes with serious consequences. Improved helmets might mitigate the impact, but preventing head injuries takes a lot more than that, says this neurologist.
Reducing the amount of forces to the head within practice, as well as the games themselves, that is paramount. There's no way of preventing them absolutely through the equipment, no matter how good the helmet.
As an offensive lineman, Alexandre Levac is used to hits.
I have a hit every play.
His university team has changed the way it plays and practices to try to reduce concussions, and he says he's happy to try new equipment too.
You want the best protection, see? That's for the future, that's for the other one. After football, you have the other life.
The team behind the helmet says it hopes to see it used in an NFL game soon. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
A Russian journalist who exposed atrocities in the war is now on the run, afraid for her life.
It's very likely that I was poisoned by chlororganic compound.
And what is that?
This is a toxic shit.
Our exclusive on what she uncovered that forced her into hiding.
And by the time this goes to air, you will be long gone from here.
Yep.
Prominent talk show hosts reverse their return to air.
It was very upsetting. And Drew Barrymore is beloved.
But will it make a difference? The National breaks down the story shaping our world. Next. A tentative contract deal means a strike has been averted for thousands of Ford auto workers in Canada. Employees will start voting on whether to ratify the deal Saturday. Until then, no details will be released. If approved, the union will start negotiating with General Motors and Stellantis. Deals with those two companies also expired earlier this week. And Hollywood writers are back at the bargaining table with the major studios. They've been on strike for nearly 5 months. And as Eli Glasner tells us, every minute a deal isn't reached could have a big impact on what we're watching and when.
Hey, Catherine Burrell here on the WB lot. It's day 142.
Catherine Burrell left Canada to work as a writer in LA. Now she finds herself in the middle of the longest strike in Hollywood history.
Strangely, the mood on the line, I've talked to several captains about this, is very cautiously optimistic.
As talks resume between the Writers Guild and the studios, there's a mixture of emotion.
It's a scary time.
A few weeks ago, it seemed the dam was breaking, with word Bill Maher and Drew Barrymore were bringing the shows back without writers.
It was very upsetting, and Drew Barrymore is beloved.
But backlash was swift. Barrymore reversed her decision after posting a now deleted apology video.
This is bigger than me, and there are other people's jobs on the line.
In the end, Bill Maher, Jennifer Hudson, and several others also scuttled plans to return. Unlike late-night shows, daytime shows are facing the threat of cancellation from stations that syndicate their programs.
The longer that these shows are not on the air, they can be getting into a situation where they're a breach of contract.
And I think that they underestimated us. I think that in the last strike, you have to remember there was no social media. We didn't have Twitter, we didn't have Instagram.
But as the strike stretches on, the effects are multiplying. In a security filing, Warner Brothers Discovery said the strike could cost the studio as much as $500 million. In Toronto, active productions have dropped from 25 to 5. And in Vancouver, busy studios are quiet.
The whole property would have at least one, if not two, additional series shooting here. So we would have
750 to 1,000 people working here in the lot.
What would you say to someone who just wants to get their shows back?
Well, I'd say same girl. I also want to be watching those shows. I want to get back to watching all this great content.
And as the strike continues, it could be a long, dull winter, or even longer for TV and film fans looking for something fresh to watch. Eli Glasser, CBC News, Toronto.
Now to a real-life thriller, all too real, for the Russian journalists living in exile and deathly afraid they're being hunted down. This is the breakdown.
We're on our way to see someone who is living in hiding. We can say only that we are somewhere in Europe. And by the time you see this, she will have moved and possibly moved again.
I was poisoned by chlororganic compound.
And what is that?
Toxic shit.
She believes she was poisoned by Russian agents, but if that's true, why is she still alive? As a journalist, Elena Kostuchenko exposed Russian atrocities and later suddenly developed mysterious symptoms while living far from Russia. So have other Russian journalists critical of the regime, raising the possibility that attackers may be out there right now trying to silence those who dare to challenge Vladimir Putin and his ways. Not long ago, the woman hiding out within these walls got some dark advice. If someone wants to kill you, they will. All you can do is make it harder and more expensive for them. Maybe they'll rethink it.
So what I'm doing now is making it more difficult and more expensive.
And by the time this goes to air, you will be long gone from here.
Yep.
Moving constantly because not only does Elena Kostuchenko think someone's trying to kill her, the evidence suggests they may have already tried.
I need some water, I need some smoke.
This must feel like a strange conversation to listen to. It's bizarre for Elena as well. A Russian journalist on the run.
Я помогаю.
Перерабатывать яблоки, да, я вижу.
Да.
She does have company. Her longtime partner, Yana.
It's done. Oh, I'm done too.
Great.
It still has some skin on it.
Okay.
Some skin is not the problem. It's just some bit of skin.
Two young Russian women, now a couple on the run.
It's very likely that I was poisoned by chlororganic compound.
And what is that?
This is a toxic shit.
So many questions. Let's start with why kill Elena. She does have some profile in Russia. Bravely joined LGBTQ protests on Moscow streets, got detained a few times. But where she really made a name and possibly an enemy was at the independent newspaper Novaya Gazeta. Its editor was Dmitry Muratov. That's him with Elena in the Moscow newsroom.
Журналисты пытаются улучшить будущее. Мы антидот от тирании.
That's also him getting a Nobel Prize for fighting for press freedom. He's the one who dispatched Elena on the most life-changing assignment of her career.
And the first time I knew that I want to meet that was when I was working in Ukraine.
Right into the heart of the Russian occupation of Ukraine in Kherson, where she exposed the brutality of what was happening.
The story that you did, showing where people were detained and tortured, it's this place that really got under the skin of Russian authorities when you revealed where it was, right?
Yeah.
But I know you couldn't get inside the building, so it was based on your story that we knew where it was, and so we were taken into it. So this is what it looks like. This is walking through. These are some of the
interrogation rooms.
Yep.
The stories we heard when we reported from inside that disturbing place were only known to the world because Elena exposed them.
Oh yeah, this is the place.
What did you hear about this place?
People actually described the cells, that they're small and floor is broken and this metallic thing you should eat on or sleep on. I believe you slept on this narrow thing.
Terrible things happen in here.
Yeah.
The articles she wrote about what Russians did in Kherson were yanked from the web by Russian authorities. Novaya Gazeta eventually shut down. And sources warned her there were Russian orders to kill her at a checkpoint in Ukraine. Her editor insisted she get out, but not go back to Russia.
He told me, in Russia, you're gonna be killed. And I'm like, do you know for sure? And he's like, I know for sure. You just cannot go back. And I just start screaming.
Then she got busy, eventually moving to the presumed safety of Germany. Knowing those at odds with Vladimir Putin have a nasty habit of dying.
Russian state media is now claiming that Wagner Group chief Prigozhin has been killed in a plane crash.
Yevgeny Prigozhin, who tried to start an insurrection, reportedly killed in a plane crash.
Alexei Navalny is in intensive care and unconscious in the hospital.
Opposition leader Alexei Navalny poisoned repeatedly. Oligarchs and defense officials who fall out of favor fall out of windows, too.
A spy and his daughter apparently poisoned. ABC
Sergei Skripal, once a low-level spy turned double agent, and his daughter Yulia found slumped on a bench in England, poisoned with a nerve agent.
The first investigation we did on the poisonings made by Russian intelligence was poisoning of Skripal family, but of course, even
investigative journalist Roman Dobrokhotov had his own trouble in Russia for his work. Arrested, pursued, now living in hiding himself.
Do you think it's likely to be a very dangerous time in Russia or outside of Russia if you're a dissident or a critic?
Yeah, it looks like Putin sees journalists who, at least in the first period of the war, who reported about the war as a combatants that are legitimate target for him. And when you get in this kill list, it is very difficult to get out of it.
Which is why Dobrokhotov and a team at the paper The Insider have been studying a few Russian exiles in Europe who became curiously ill at roughly the same time, poisoning a possibility with each person, Elena Kostyuchenko among them.
I think it was somewhere in March when I've heard that something happened with Elena Kostyuchenko. She can't work, she feels ill, and there is something suspicious.
He said, we are working now on investigation of series of poisonings in Europe. Targets are female Russian journalists. Do you have any health issues now? And I'm like, yes. My doctor's thinking I was poisoned.
When we come back, the train trip, the mysterious symptoms, and the realization she has no choice but to speak up. We are back on the trail of a mystery, a Russian journalist on the run from the regime she criticized.
He told me, in Russia, you're going to be killed.
But Elena Kostyuchenko was nowhere near Russia when she suddenly fell ill.
She can't work, she feels ill, and there is something suspicious.
The same thing happened to other Russian journalists in exile in different parts of Europe. So let's get back to Elena's story and her memories of the day when she believed she was quietly, secretly poisoned. It was October 17th, 2022. Elena, living in Berlin, was trying to get back on a reporting trip to Ukraine. Needed to go to Munich for a visa. She contacted a friend over Facebook Messenger to say she was coming, and then she took a train.
She went to Munich on a night train. She slept there, and she also put her boots on the floor.
So she took her shoes off.
She took her shoes off, and we know from Russian experience that there were cases when they used chlororganic chemicals putting in the shoes, and it came through the skin.
Arriving in Munich, she was fine. Went to the consulate, ate with a friend at a local restaurant, used the bathroom. Then they got in the car back to the train station, and that's where things got odd. Her friend told her she suddenly smelled terrible.
And I was like really surprised because like she's such a polite person. She would never say so if I weren't smell awful. And I'm really sweating a lot. That smell is strange. It doesn't smell like a sweat, it smells like rotten fruits. I cleaned myself up, went back to the seat. I started to read through the manuscript of my book. I noticed that I'm reading same paragraph again and again and again.
And not just because you were tired.
I cannot move forward and I have a headache. And it gets stronger.
The headache got worse. Once at her stop, she says she was suddenly confused about how to get home, normally a 5-minute walk away.
Don't understand what direction should I take. And I just cried.
Then came the pulsing, sharp stomach pain, swollen fingers, burning skin. Multiple doctors had no answers except for one.
He texted me, "Do you think it's possible you've been poisoned?" And I texted him back like, "No, I'm not so dangerous." And then I came home and I told Yana, and we were laughing so much, and Yana was like, "Okay, sure, like the simplest explanation, like Russian journalist, of course you've been poisoned." So we didn't take it seriously at all.
Nearly a year later, though, and Elena still struggles with not enough energy to concentrate for more than a few hours. More patterns have emerged. Days after Elena became sick, journalist Irina Babloyan fell ill in Tbilisi, her symptoms similar. Months later, another Russian in exile, Natalia Arno, awoke in a hotel room in Prague with acute pain that spread and lingers. Russian women getting very sick, but not dying.
Sometimes poisoning kills people, sometimes it does not. What do we read into that? Is it that they were inept and didn't kill them, or was there actually a message in the making them ill but not dead?
Well, I think the main feature of the poisons like Novichok or some other like chlorogenic chemicals is that it is very difficult to find them.
Just maybe, one theory goes, making someone sick enough to stop working achieves the goal, shuts them up, makes them paranoid, makes others doubt their stories. Because where's the proof poisoning happened? Berlin police are investigating Elena's case, and Roman and his team have some work to do.
What we want to do is to find some digital trace of some Russian agents coming to Munich and bringing the poison, because they can't just sit in Munich with poison waiting for some activists to come. I think that we have idea how to check it.
How do you do that, Roman?
Well, not disclosing all the tricks, we can say that every Russian agent, when he travels, he leaves a lot of digital traces. Cell phone, he buys tickets, cameras, CCTV if it used. Right in this application.
There are open source apps they use to try to track those who may have gone after the women, and contacts in Russia who may help with leaked data. This is as dangerous as it sounds.
There were people trying to follow me in different countries, and their aim was to kidnap and to return me back to Russia. It's absolutely clear that they don't like the work that we are doing, which means that we are doing everything good.
That may be true, but getting to the truth doesn't mean the threat of attacks disappears. Just look at how Russian propagandists talk about Novaya Gazeta and Elena right now. Traitors, trash, scumbags, and lesbians, he calls them. Going on to question why more isn't done to block them. They might soon be even angrier. Before she became ill, Elena was writing a book called I Love Russia. What was exciting now unnerves.
This book is about how fascism descended into Russia. It's about how Russia really looks like.
What happens when this book comes out, do you think?
The investigative journalists who are investigating on my case, they both thinking that it can be a trigger for the people who try to kill me. They might try again. So that's why I actually decided to go public with this assassination attempt. Though publicity is not a solid protection, but it is a protection. And I want to use everything to protect myself because I have so much work to do and I have big plans.
So how do you live your life then? How do they?
Думаю, как отвесить муку без весов.
Что, нет весов?
Да.
Ну, мы не дома, да.
For now, it means effectively moving constantly. Elena insisting she's not really afraid.
It's hard for me to relate to not being afraid, not looking at the road or listening in the drive or wondering at night what those sounds are. You've been able to push all that away?
But I don't like because Yana does feel fear, and for her, last year was completely nightmare. You hear a strange sound behind the door, like some car parking, or, you know, just neighbors talking too loud. Yana do this thing, and I don't want the woman I love, you know, feel all this fear.
So they exist and they work on living.
Что ты прижимаешь меня?
Living in the moment, in the flashes of safety and comfort that distract from the reality that they may be forever on the run. We checked in with Elena, who says that part of the urgency in finding out what exactly happened and if she was poisoned, what she was poisoned with, is that her doctors are concerned it may have been a carcinogenic compound. So she now lives with wondering if cancer is also coming for her soon. Here's another story I'm currently working on, the debate over artificial intelligence. From fear
I'd like to still have a job next year.
to fandom.
AI is not going to replace clinicians, but clinicians who use AI are going to replace clinicians who don't use AI.
And an expert to break it all down.
Learn how to use it so it isn't used against you.
How the rise of AI could change the future of work. But next on The National, Missouri police in hot pursuit of an unusual escapee.
You know, they don't exactly prepare you to chase lemurs in the police academy.
That's right, a lemur on the loose in our moment. Well, those are two Missouri police officers looking pretty proud of themselves after things got a little wacky last week. That lemur they're holding led them on a hectic pursuit. So the primate proved to be a little hard to nab, narrowly escaping numerous attempts at capture. So, of course, tonight, the furry fugitive is our moment.
On September 12th, we got a call that there was a lemur running around, and officers responded out to the area, and it was identified pretty quickly.
Yeah, let me see the tail.
And they kind of chased him around just a little bit and ended up in the front yard of a local school. They don't exactly prepare you to chase lemurs in the police academy.
Dang it!
So as you can kind of see in the video, you know, they end up tossing the towel on top of him, which doesn't work out so great for him.
Dang it!
Until our second officer arrived, and eventually they got him all snuggled up in the towel.
319. We got the lemur.
So we were able to reconnect the owners with the lemur, but unfortunately in Springfield, there is a city ordinance that prohibits owning wild animals or exotic animals. So the lemur has made its way to a Southwest Missouri wildlife rescue agency where it will continue to be taken care of and loved. That photo of those two officers, I'm sure that will absolutely be in the slideshow when they retire.
And of course, the lemur is just fine. We had to check on that. We're not really sure what's going on in Springfield because when our producer Andrew asked, you know, what was the last strange call you got? They said, oh, it was last year when 18 goats made a break for it. So something's up there. From all of us here at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.